you see how like when you're just in a relationship, you and a guy, you and like let's say your previous boyfriend, you could just be like, oh, let's just live together and see what it's like. When you have a kid, you really can't.
I get
do
that.
Yeah,
I
it's just
definitely get that.
Literally, imagine how traumatic it would be now. You guys have broken up. He's moved out.
John,
now your
Jake,
dad is gone.
Bob,
and literally his name is John.
You know, it's like the in and out.
Yeah, it's so difficult. Hi guys, Murugi Munyi here.
It's Lydia KM.
And we're back again with another episode of
The Messy In Between. It's definitely TMI. It feels so good to be normal again because you decide to remake
this time
it.
I was just thinking, what can I say?
I was like, no,
with an episode of Blended Family in this season of.
I was just like, okay, Lydia, stay ready, stay ready.
Adapt with change. Adapt with change. Okay, sometimes
adapt or die.
Exactly, that is it. That is it. Do you remember we used to be on live TV?
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We never used to have cut. Pause, I don't know what, and we did it so well.
Yeah. But I guess it's like when you have that in mind.
Yeah.
But then now, any 2 minutes, guys, cut,
remove that.
Remove from here, remove.
When you trash talk someone accidentally, hey, book that out. I don't want to be cancelled.
I don't want to be trending.
And I don't know why with Ibrume I used to imagine that maybe not that many people are watching us, which is false because a lot of people.
So many people still tell me that they watched it from there.
And I don't know, I feel so proud when people are like, oh, I used to see you on TV. You're not on TV anymore. I'm like, yeah,
no, haven't been, but
for like
okay.
Years.
Yeah, or someone's like, I'm a diehard fan. They're just like, oh, hi, like, you know, you still have 2 kids. Don't even know Tana is born.
Excuse
like,
me.
Guys.
But I remember those days I used to watch you do the intro and just be like, how does she do that? How do you do that? Especially because before the show, you always used to seem so unprepared. But somehow, like you've literally gotten the sheet. You know that production sheet, we would get like 2 seconds to 3, 2, 1, Lydia. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad you could be here. I was like, where did she get it? Wow, yeah, that was when I fell in love with Lydia way back then.
That was
2019.
That was it. And here we are doing it
5
together.
Years. This is going to be our 5-year together, knowing each other, yeah. Wow. We met in like August, I think. August or September of 2019, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, that was the worst year of my life. Yeah, but I met you, so...
Yeah, exactly.
There was hope.
I met you when you were on a 3-month social media cleanse, I remember.
Yeah, after a breakup, which was like, But it wasn't even as bad.
But look now, you've been through another breakup since then.
Who knew worse was coming? Who knew?
But was this one worse?
It was worse in that it's like the older you get, the more it's like you're tied to like, this is going to work out. I love this person. You get more deeply involved. And I was actually more involved with this last one.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one felt like, this is terrible, it's over, but I'm so glad it's over. That one there was never a question of what decision did I make.
Yeah. But clearly there's a difference between like when you leave a relationship which is toxic versus a relationship like, which was good, but it just didn't work out. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You see?
Oh, for sure.
I feel like this one is like you're still sad, but it's like you're sad, but like I'm glad I experienced that. And like I believe there's better out there. Versus, oh my God, I can't
like,
believe
first
this
of all,
is horrible.
where do we get ourselves back up from everything we've
How
just
do we
been
stand?
through?
How do we stand? This is where are we standing from? Whose legs are we using upon which to stand?
Whose?
That is the
question. So it's very, very... And then now there's the other worse ones where it's just like you're breaking up over something like we're just misaligned in that. Like I want kids or you know, oh my God, I don't know how people do it.
I know, crazy, right? So much.
It's like I love you deeply, but it's just this unmovable
it's not
thing.
Working out. No. How do you... Okay.
Anyway.
And after that extremely lengthy beginning, hi guys, welcome.
Hi.
Oh, mko hapa. Thank you for being here, guys. Yeah. How are you guys doing? We hope that you're doing fantastic. We are doing really, really good today.
Really
well.
Doing
really good.
Yeah, really extra well.
Yeah, we are actually doing so good, guys. We are having a really nice beginning to the year. I feel like it's like a really nice beginning to the year from a TMI perspective, but also like our own individual lives. I just feel like things are going well. Yeah. We are happy. We are settled. We are productive.
Yeah, we are fasting. We haven't.
Oh, yeah.
So sorry.
No, if you don't follow us on Instagram, but season is up.
I don't know what
we do not tell you, but all we can say
is a 25-day intermittent fasting challenge, and it was from I think the 5th
Yeah, I think it was the 5th.
The
I don't
5th
remember.
of Feb
Monday,
to Joe's birthday, which is the 2nd of March. We wanted to just like kickstart. See, we said health consciousness is our goal. So we
said.
wanted to kickstart it with a bit more intention. So
Exactly.
we've been doing fasting, mostly like 16 hours of fasting, 8-hour eating window, but Joe has been doing a bit longer.
Yeah, like 18-hour fasting. But 16 is the goal. Because
Yeah.
it's the easiest. It's just like at least make it to 16.
Yeah, so
that's
then,
what
yeah,
we're
we just
trying
feel
to.
better, even physically. We are feeling like, oh, great.
Just good,
Yeah.
exactly. So please follow us on Instagram if you're not already, so that you can get caught up on that. And if you want to be part of the challenge, we keep putting updates there and whatnot.
Stories,
and
yeah.
maybe we might think of even having like maybe on Instagram you can have like an Instagram channel specifically for updates about a particular thing. So we're thinking
Cute.
about doing that. So do follow us, TMI Podcast KE, on Instagram and on all other platforms, and Lydia KM Murugi Muni. Now, the topic we are talking about today is something that is very dear to my heart, and I think to Lydia's as well. And it is about being in a blended family. It is blended families, not broken families.
Yes.
I don't know why I somehow remember us talking about being blended in another episode, but I don't know if the episode was entirely about being in a
I don't
blended
think so.
family.
No, it wasn't, yeah.
But I think we've referenced the fact that we have both been in blended families from different perspectives, but we are both in blended families right now. Her for her nuclear family, me for my current nuclear family as well. And yeah, so we just wanted to have a conversation around that, primarily because we watched this show, which is called
Come you stay. We've been saying come you stay.
We've been saying come you stay.
But come you stay.
Yeah,
but guess
exactly.
what? Come you stay sounds like come you stay.
Yeah,
that sounds
if you're
nicer.
Saying it in a Sheng way, come you stay, not come
stay.
you stay.
Yeah, so now come you stay is now what we know it to be. Come you stay.
Come you stay.
Oh yeah, come you stay.
Exactly. Yeah, and this is a show that airs on Maisha Magic on DStv. If you have DStv, I think it's also on GoTV as well. Channel 163. Channel 163. So at first,
Maisha Magic Plus.
Maisha Magic Plus, yes.
Yeah.
So at first, when I saw the Come Stay, obviously I didn't think it was about blended families. I just thought it was about illegitimate marriage, pretty much. Because don't you think Come Stay is that's pretty much we're just talking about like people who are just not getting married.
We know how you feel about it. Sweetie.
That is it.
This is not
you
lost
know
on
how
us.
I feel about it. So initially when I saw it, I was just like, I don't know if this is the kind of thing that I would want to watch. But shock on me, shock on us both.
So entertaining. So entertaining.
Let me tell you
First
something.
of all, I'm in my head, I'm always rooting for Kenyan content.
Yeah.
I'm always hoping
that
I'll love it.
I'm
always hoping that I enjoy it. And first of all, the first thing is that there's pace.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like
things are happening
and moving and like
Yeah, it's
was
really
really
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then it's
enjoyed
shot really, really well. It's like it's just visually, it's very appealing.
The
I like that
actors
there's
are
colors. They're
fantastic.
acting really well. It's just really nice.
And I like that they're in like an apartment,
Yeah.
like or a house that looks like this is
Actually
livable.
a place that you're
Or
living in.
Yeah, it's like it's a place that it's not like it's like it feels like relatable.
That's the thing.
Like this is an apartment I've seen. I've been in this apartment.
It doesn't look like it's just a set that has been built specifically for this thing. Yeah, it's really nice. Anyway, so in this show, there's a John who has 2 daughters. John is a man who was previously married and is now divorced. He has 2 daughters who, like, one is a teenager, one is like maybe like Mukeni's age, or like 7, 8 maybe.
Yeah, 7, 8.
Around 7, 8. And then there's Brenda, who has a son who is also a teenager. And these 2 people have fallen in love, John and Brenda, and they have decided to move in together.
Into John's house with his 2 daughters.
Yeah, and so it all just revolves around now, like it's like this new family of like John and his 2 kids, and then Brenda and her son AJ, and there's the house help scholar who is she's the acting skills is phenomenal. It's hilarious.
Her and Nani, our fave AJ.
They are
so good.
Yeah, I know.
Those ones are my
really,
fave.
really good. Yeah, it's just so
good.
amazing. So basically, it's like we've watched like 2-3 episodes. The first 2-3 episodes. I think there's 4 episodes in total right now. Although by the time they're watching it, maybe there's more episodes. Yeah. And basically, it's just about how they're acclimatizing to now living together and being like one big happy family.
Yeah.
We don't want to like ruin everything for you so that you can go and actually watch it, and it can be like equally exciting for you. But basically it just made us feel like we could have a conversation about blended families and what that's like, because in this particular series, because it's dramatized for TV, I feel like it makes things seem very, very like chaotic almost,
and I feel
right?
like they have to present as many examples of what
could go wrong.
which are the conflict points,
Yeah.
so that we see how they navigate through them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe ordinarily there wouldn't be as many, especially so fast.
Yeah.
First of all, the meaning of blended family, for those who don't know, is a couple family containing 2 or more children, or who at least one is the natural or adopted child of both members of the couples. The way I would say is that in a blended family, there is a step parent and child dynamic. Yeah, that would be
okay.
it.
So there's a kid who is not directly biologically related to
one of the
parents.
Yes.
So for example, in my family, Zach is not my son's biological father.
Yes.
So we're a blended family in that he parents Ethan, but he's not his biological parent.
Exactly. In my example, my mom is married to my stepdad Tim, so I'm his stepchild. We're not biologically related, but he's parenting me. Well, yeah.
I love that. So it's like yours is blended upwards, mine is kind of blended downwards.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I feel like the other day I can't remember where I was. Maybe I was on Claire's set. So Claire,
who's in a blended family.
She's in a blended family, and she has a podcast called the Blended Families Podcast.
Yeah.
Which has really nice stories and good content that if you're in a blended family,
me and my mom were in
it. You actually, I think, like episode 1 or something. Episode
2. Yeah.
So amazing. It's a really good, because then it shows you that first, a lot of people are in blended families, a lot more people. Yeah. And it actually made me realize that I feel like this generation of ours and the generation after, I feel like more people will be in blended families than those who aren't. Simply because so many people like of our age had kids outside of being married, you know, kind of things. Like so many people have children now, as opposed to like our parents' generation. It's like somebody who had a kid and they were not married. She was just kind of like, oh my God.
But blended families also are out of divorce.
Or
like
even
people
out
are
of
married,
divorce,
like John
exactly.
On the show.
Exactly.
He's married.
Yeah.
He was married, then he divorced. My mom was married and she divorced,
exactly.
and now they have one.
And then for someone like me, it's that I had a child before I got married, and now I married someone who's not the father of my child. But I feel like more than ever right now, blended families is such a normal thing.
I feel like it is totally normal.
You mean you're not in a blended family?
Odd,
no,
weird.
It's not like we're all trying to be in blended families.
It's more like
but it's a fact.
The norm, yeah.
That's the thing.
And I think that one thing that's coming out of it is that people are deciding that just because I have a child with you doesn't mean I have to stay with you. That's what's changed.
That is
Whereas
true.
back in the days, like we have kids, this is it. You deal with it. Yep. Take a pause, come back later. Whereas now it's like, I don't have to be with you to be. And then also people are being more open about dating people with children.
Yeah,
whereas before it was like, oh my God, what a taboo.
Yeah.
Where now it's like, oh, my girlfriend has a child. Okay. My boyfriend has a child. All right.
Okay,
It just feels like whatever.
Yeah. And I feel like from a personal point of view, and this is sometimes whenever I say it on my platform can be a bit controversial, but I feel like from a personal point of view, it's almost gotten to the point where I feel like we are getting a bit too desensitized to what the gravity of actually having a child is.
Fact.
And I just feel like now it's just like oh, whatever kind of thing, which I'm glad that people are realizing that you don't have to marry someone just because you have a child.
Yeah.
But I wish more people actually put thought into what it takes, what the complexities of life are, like how much more complex it makes your life to be in a blended family, to have 3 or 4 or 5 baby daddies, or to have to co-parent with someone. The reality is that it's harder. It's harder than just being in a home with, mom, dad, and the kids. I recognize that's not always possible, but for me personally, that would have been an ideal.
Of course. I feel like everyone has the ideal. It's just we're navigating in like, I can't have the ideal so ntadu. I'm not going to just be like this, and I don't want to not date. I want to find love again. I want to have more children. And you just find yourself in that kind of dynamic. What I find, I would say actually specifically in an African setting, is that you would be crucified, as I was, if you move in with a boyfriend. But if you have a child with a boyfriend, no one says anything because this child is a blessing.
Oh, and you can't be like, now, how dare
you can't
have
say
this
that.
child.
You can't say that.
The-
Oh, having
So
a bastard. You can't. Like, that's just too olden. But the idea of there's no official commitment, which apparently is the fear. The fear is that I won't be able to get married to this person because we've moved in together. But there's no fear when someone has a child. I find it so interesting.
I find that
actually
so
the
strange.
lightness of having children with people it's taken so
It's
lightly.
too lightly.
It's taken so lightly.
It's too late.
Yeah,
It's too
because
late,
you
which
can't
is
say to anyone like not congratulations because they haven't had a child with a husband.
Because
That's
at that
ridiculous.
point, it's like now it's already after
What we
the
gonna
fact.
do?
The baby is here.
Tutadu?
Your stomach is big.
Yeah,
Now
I
what
feel
are we
like
going to
it's
do?
carried way less,
Which is-
way less weight.
Which
Whereas
is
me,
interesting, yeah.
who I'm having kids with, is probably one of the things which I've taken more seriously since I was a child because of the dynamic I have with my father. So I was like, before I decide to have children with someone, and guess what? I could think that this is the best person and it still pasukas and it still goes wrong. But I want it to be a decision I make with like
eyes wide
seriousness.
open. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Seriousness.
I get that. And I feel like, I also feel like there was like a period where like women were like, you have a kid, maybe you live together or something like that, and you have a kid to trap a man or something like that. But I think most of us have realized that first of all never happens. You could literally have a child today and tomorrow you guys are not together. It literally, having a child together does
People
not
are left pregnant.
guarantee.
Yeah.
Our last episode, literally, somebody was left
pregnant. And that's it.
You're right, exactly. And I feel like for me, it's like, with this episode is supposed to be like a positive light on blended families and show you that if you do find yourself in a blended family, it's not the end of the world. But also, we are not aiming to be in the blended family. I feel like that's not the aim, kind of thing. But anyway, if you look at both our stories have been beautiful, despite the fact that they have been blended and not necessarily broken. But again, the choice for it not to be broken has actually been a choice.
Oh, Han.
It's actually
because
been a
actually
choice.
It takes a lot of care and consideration and consciousness to have this blended family where people feel respected, seen, and also to blend. Because there's the coming together. It doesn't always blend initially. There's more like madagodanio. So now for it to blend, it takes quite a bit of work. So we're going to be talking about some of the things that we feel help a blended family have a more what helps a blended family blend.
Exactly. So first, I like what you've said about how like sometimes when you come together, it's not necessarily just like it's blended. The first episode, when you watch this Come Uste, I'm always just ready to say Come You Stay.
Same.
The first episode, it's like it shows a lot of tension between like the guy and the son of the lady,
the kids
themselves, the son and like the mom. It's like a lot is happening. And that was the first thing that made me now think back to my own situation of like when I first met Zach and like when we were trying to decide like the whole marriage thing and whatnot. For me, it was like I was not ever going to live with a guy if we are not getting married. It was like there's just no in between. You see how like when you're just in a relationship, you and a guy, you and like let's say your previous boyfriend, you could just be like, let's just live together and see what it's like. When you have a kid, you really can't.
I get
do
that.
Yeah,
it's just definitely get that.
Literally, imagine how traumatic it would be. Now you guys are broken up. He's moved out.
John,
now your
Jake,
dad is gone.
Bob,
and literally his name is John.
It's like the in and out.
Yeah, sure. It's so difficult. So when I was watching this situation, I was just like, I found myself asking, what would have been a better situation than this one? Is them spending time together as the kids and whatever, a lot more time together, so that by the time we are moving in, it just feels like the next natural step. Because I feel like in these kinds of situations, you kind of really need to be able to protect your children's feelings. And there should be no animosity. Now my son is trying to sabotage you and what... Messy.
Messy. That's for sure. It shouldn't feel like, hello, how are you? And you've moved in.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be like, Akina AJ is moving in now. I feel like there definitely needs to be more familiarity. But we're saying because this is a show,
it's dramatized.
It's dramatized to fit that way. But that's definitely for sure. Familiarity and everything for me, I would say, is slowly when it comes to kids. Very, very slowly, because you are an adult. And you, I know, are struggling to navigate through this dynamic. What is little Malaika? By the way, that's like the name I want to name my daughter.
Really?
Yeah. But now I've changed because there's just too many. But I wanted...
Malkia.
Huh? No. Okay. I don't know what that is.
That's Malaika is a queen. No, it's an angel.
It's an angel.
Malkia is a queen.
Yeah? It doesn't slap as hard.
Got it.
But yeah, anyway, so it's like, imagine what, like now, Malaika was talking about the picture of her mom on the wall, and Brenda, now the lady, wanted it down. So
Brenda is now the new woman.
And Malaika is a little girl who has her mom's photo, but up on the wall. And it felt rushed to get her to accept it, because so it's like she's still she's still mourning that, you know, like for me it's like slowly, easy does it. So the way I think it was the way it was we were introduced to Tim slowly. Their relationship was almost like from the jump. Tim was
is
like
her stepdad.
My stepdad, from the jump it was like this is it, I found the woman, let's go. Like it was, he just came so serious. But our introduction to him was actually quite, you know, baby steps. Paced. Like slowly. We did dinner, things like that. And actually, this is what I remember at the first dinner together. So we're just talking, we're asking, you know, what do you do, blah, blah, blah. Me and Aggie are very friendly kids, only because we want my mom to find love.
How old were you that time?
I think I was 22.
Okay, so full grown girl.
Yeah, we're grown
woman.
So anyway, we're just asking him like about him, and then he says that he's a plastic surgeon, and he tells us what he does. And one of the things he says, I think it was like labia construction or something like that. So of course I was like, huh?
Half the women here don't know their labia.
Exactly.
Point to your labia right now as you're watching this.
Right. Anyway, then I was like, huh? Like, I just didn't hear him right. He was like, I was hoping I was going to breeze past that. But what that is, so that now he explained, because he's a doctor. It's vagina, like the deconstruction of
your lips.
Yeah. So anyway, that was something I remember about the first time we met him. He was like,
was that a first date kind of thing to mention?
Because that's what we do. Because I was like, what kind of plastic surgeon? Because I wanted to know. And then he was just like, I wanted to breeze past that. Yeah. Anyway, it was a really good first time interacting. And as long as my mom loved him, that was it. Yeah.
I feel like it's really important in those situations to take a cue from your kids and not to rush them, because I feel like even if you're ready to do it right now, no. If your kids are not ready, you kind of need to. Because like Malaika now with that thing, ideal situation should have been like, she can keep the picture up on the wall. And whenever now they are ready and now she's ready, then that's when. Do you think it also has something to do with like the length of time that someone has been separated from the other person's
100%.
parents? Definitely, yeah.
100%. It's like, has there been time to mourn? Because I remember my mom did date someone like almost immediately after my dad, from what I remember. And the feeling wasn't the same as how it's just like, you know, like it felt like it needed time. Actually, when me and Aggie started dating, I started dating when I was like 16. When I first fell in love, I was just like, whoa, I want my mom to have this. I was like,
it feels so nice.
I was like, this is not a thing I can feel for her, because I love my mom and my sister, and no, like they can't do this for me. So that's when I started being like a bit more open. But that was how long my parents had been separated, since I was 9.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, it took time for me to get to that point. Number one, the child is mourning what could have been.
Exactly.
Like, my mom and dad aren't going to be together. Then all of the things that comes with being weird, like everyone being like, where's your dad or where's your mom? Like, they have to face that all of the time. It's like, why is your family not the same? So there's a lot of difficulty with emotions that way. Then before that is like feeling comfortable that this one is not going to come, and then you guys are going to break up and I'm going to feel the same way. So yeah, it takes a lot of time.
I agree with you. So for me, it was about 2 years between when I broke up with Ethan's dad to when I met Zach. But although in those 2 years, we were co-parenting with him, so then Ethan was still seeing him. So it wasn't like, I've completely lost him. But also, we were never married and we were never living in the same house.
Yeah.
So I feel like it wasn't that much of a change. I definitely imagine that if people are living together and now it's a change of daddy was here every day and now daddy's not here, I feel like that's definitely...
Don't call him daddy.
I know.
Jesus, my heart.
Dada. So if he's not there, that's obviously a huge change. But I feel like another theme that I've picked up from that and your story and my story is that blended family stories are all so different. Like, literally, they're all so different. I feel like there's no two which I see which are exactly the same. I feel like there's people who are, okay, these two have been married. These ones have young kids. These ones, it's like they've been separated for a while. These ones, there's like financial barriers to like people being together. This one, it's just like, it's a beautiful story. But I feel like all of them are figure-outable. That's just a belief that I have. I feel like all blended family stories are figure-outable if people's heart postures are right.
100%. I think for me, my personal feelings, and I guess it's because I am the child when it comes to blended families, is like, it's up to the parents to be patient with the kids. It's not like actually one of the things I think when Brenda came in, he was like, no, John said, me and Brenda are in love. This, he was telling his daughters, me and Brenda are in love, get used to it.
This was me.
Or when Brenda was just like, so this is your brother?
Yeah,
and then they were just like, this is not my brother. She's like, he's your brother now? Like utabidi mzoea or something like that.
Ooh, I know. Guys, you just need to watch. You need to watch this so that you can see, because I feel like it's like, again, it's dramatized, but you kind of just need to watch it so that you can see what it looks like if you're ever in that situation, you know what not to do.
And to be honest, I like that they've dramatized it in a way so that you can kind of see an expression of all the things that could go wrong. Yeah. Because the truth is, those scenarios are not foreign. No, those scenarios I'm sure are very, very common in so many families.
Exactly. If you could go back to the time that your mom and Tim like got together, is there anything you'd change about how your blended family blended?
No, not at all. I feel like, number one, my mom had like chosen not to have like a man so intimately close in her life until we got older. So as soon as I remember, just before I relocated, I was now relocating now the next year, and I prayed when we were in church. I was just like, Mom, I was like, God, please give my mom a good man. And if you have not sent him, don't make him sick. And I think they had started seeing each other with Tim as well. Yeah. And the man stuck. So we were praying for a good man for us. So when he came and she was like, this is a man and he's good, when we blended, we just blended.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel like when I look back at the time that we blended, if there's anything I would change, I don't think there's anything that I would change. I feel like because when Zach and I first met, like from the very onset, our relationship was like serious from like week one. It was just like very clear, like I would love to be in a long-term relationship. You want the same things. Our values are aligned. We're heading in the same direction. It just felt like very deep instantly. So even by the time I was introducing him to Ethan, which was still like maybe 2-3 months into, or maybe it was like 2 months into the relationship. But by then it was already like, we are in this kind of like thing, you know? So, I mean, I'm happy about that. I don't feel like I would change anything about that situation.
Actually, Steve Harvey says, like, introduce your kids so that you know earlier. Like, some people disagree with that, and I get why they disagree with that, but she's like, you fall in love, fine, wait 2 years. But if this doesn't work, this is a deal breaker. This is a deal breaker. They have to get on. It has to be something.
But what is this concept of like, if it doesn't work between your kids? Because you see, your kids may not like anyone. Also,
it's not even about your kids. The kids are allowed to react.
Man not
what
liking
about
the
you?
kid?
Or when you see that he's not treating your kid well, or it's not a priority, or like you can just see, you know, that like evil step parent energy,
which is umbali sana. Like,
it's not obvious. It's not in your face, but you can see there's a lack of consideration here. You're not changing that.
Okay, so what is an appropriate amount of time then?
I don't know. I would say let's use our intuitions, but I don't know if we even know how to listen to our intuition. But there's just, I don't know. Like you just know. I
would say definitely cannot be before you guys are officially dating, like a couple. True. It cannot be like now we are still at
vibes.
Situationship. We are introducing people who are in situation, because then you'll end up doing too much. Then I feel like once you start dating, it needs to be relatively serious, not the ones of just like, we're just trying to see where it goes. Kind of thing.
No, for sure. It needs to feel like it's weighted. This person already knows they have the responsibility of being a step parent, assuming this relationship is now going to go into marriage. It has to be carried the way the person is carrying. The one who, first of all, assuming if you both have kids, you are both carrying each other's children with weight. This is like serious, you know? Like, it can't be someone who's coming here for vibes. Is there someone who you'd want to father your kid? If the answer is no,
then no. And then also now, I can think it was like in episode 1 where the dad tells AJ, who is like, he's a teenage, but like maybe like 15, 16 kind of whatever. And he's like, you can call me dad. And then AJ just laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs. And I was just like, wow.
You guys mna overdo.
By the way.
There's never been pressure to call anybody dad. Never. It's like, depending on how old the kids are when you separate, then they're going to be like, this doesn't make any sense. I know you're not my dad. Exactly. And I feel like when you force issues and you force these kind of titles, then you're bound to get this kind of imposed feelings, as opposed to, can it come naturally? You said that with Ethan, it came naturally.
Please put your nini.
What?
Put your phone on silent, and I don't want to hear
Shut
that
up.
again. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying, yeah, with Ethan, the 5 months we were dating, he used to call Zach just Zach. But as soon as we got engaged, he started calling him dad. Like, I never mentioned to him or anything. He just started calling him dad. Oh my God, that was so emotional for me.
Really?
Dear Lord, I was like, because
Yeah,
I
you
had thought so
shouldn't.
many times about like, now we'll ever have a conversation with him. Will the kids, now if we ever have other kids, because at that time obviously we didn't have kids. I was like, at that time now when we have other kids, will they now notice why is Ethan not calling him dad or what? So he just started calling him dad just from when we got engaged. Literally as soon as we got engaged, we just told him, oh baby, we're going to get married. He's like, oh, I'm so happy for you, mom and dad. And that was just it. Don't
shut
cry.
up.
I know. And it was so sweet. And imagine now, that time Ethan was Mukeni's age. He was 6. He was like around 6 years old. But interestingly, Ethan has never called his dad's partner mom. So I feel like, I don't know if it's just like a thing of like that it's
Moms
female
for sure.
and what it's different or what, or if it's just I don't know. But he's never. But yet they are close. Like they are quite close. Like he talks about her all the time, and they are very friendly with each other and stuff. And she's very motherly towards him. But he just never calls her mom.
I feel like I always feel like dad feels easier.
You think so?
Yeah, I feel like you can call anyone dad. No, not anyone. But
Notes.
it's like
I have notes.
I have notes. No, I feel like it feels like, number one, I'm sure it's rocked. It's about the connection that Zach and Ethan have that has to be there. But I feel like mom.
Yeah, it's just so.
It's just heavier.
But
don't
is it
think
heavier?
so?
You see, it's heavier to us right now.
Right.
What do kids know? For them, it's just mom and dad, or maybe they just. I don't know, because let's see how long it's gonna take for Malaika and Zidi to start calling Brenda mom on the show.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I
they
feel like
hate
kids are
her,
more
first of all.
possessive
Yeah.
with their kids are more possessive
is
with their
the
moms.
thing.
I think so.
You think so?
I definitely think so, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the major complexities in blended families is the age of the kids, let me tell you. And I used to say that I feel like it's easier when a child is younger, but now I feel like it's easier when a child is just not a teenager. That's what I would say. Because
Not a
clearly,
teenager.
yeah, because clearly in 20s, I feel like it's easy for you guys to understand why your mom would want love and how she can move on. And for the super young kids, I feel like because now in their mind, they won't remember when they were 5 necessarily. They don't remember when they were 4. They just remember, oh, this dad has always just been there. I feel like that one is easier. And then also your partner is able to grow with them as they become a person. But a teenager, I feel like teenagers are very already just naturally, even towards their own parents who have been with them and birthed them from literally zero.
Yeah.
They are already rebellious. They are already, it's difficult to manage, already emotional. Now add this new stress of this. I feel like that just adds a whole unique element to it that is very, not unovercomable, but it's just a bit more challenging, I would say.
But here's the thing, I feel like with the younger children, it's just easier for the adults because they're easier to adapt.
That's
but as far as
people who we're talking about.
but the
at that moment.
emotions of the young kid going through a separation, a divorce, then a blended family is far more traumatic.
Do you think so?
Of course it is. Because you have less capacity to articulate what you're feeling, what you're going through. Like, do you feel upset? No, you're just crying. Like, or you don't feel good, but you don't know what it is. So it's harder to navigate then because you don't know what you're going through. So that's what I would say in the difference. Like when my parents divorced, I don't know if I had the words to explain what my body was feeling about the confusion and the destabilization. I didn't have the
9,
words.
Yeah.
So maybe I was easier to adapt to things. Huh?
You were a preteen.
Yeah. Versus if you're a teenager, it's like you have the words to say it, which makes you harder to deal with.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that's, but maybe it's like 2-3 years old. Do you remember at 2-3 years old?
But is it about memory?
Yeah,
is that
it's about memory.
Oh.
Because if you don't really remember what it was like, then, I mean, obviously one day you'll go to therapy and then they'll hypnotize you and you'll be like, oh my God, I remember my dad storming off in the middle of the night and I haven't seen him since. Obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like Zach doesn't ever remember ever being with his dad because he left when he was 2. So it's just like, that's just not a memory he ever has had. Do you know what I mean? Also, I feel like with Ethan at that age of 6, I feel like maybe it's because we had a close connection or a close relationship and whatnot, but I feel like I was able to talk with him through his emotions. Of course, some things he couldn't voice, but it's like I was able to like constantly reassure him, constantly speak with him about how he's feeling, what's going on, and things like that. And he's able to meet it because he's still at that age of like admiration for my mom. My mom is everything and knows everything.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to, for lack of a better word, manipulate him to think or feel what I need
totally
him to.
get it.
Teenagers.
There is nothing like that. I also feel like that's another thing when it comes to blended families. The parents' patience to help the child navigate through this, not taking it from a place of I'm in love, this is happening. It's like no matter how in love I am with this man, this is a stranger to my son. So me being able to walk him through the way you have, that's so conscious of you, Joe. Yeah. That's amazing. Being able to talk him through and explain to him like, okay, this is what's happening. I've met this person. I feel this way. This is what's going to happen. The child feels part of the process versus this one, which is just like they've packed. They're unpacking. This is what's happening. They're in the house already.
There's a book I read recently, Confessions of Nairobi Women.
I'm not reading that. I saw your review.
Don't. It's going to suck you in, but you will cry. All the tears you have to cry. Anyway, this one, I think it was the second book. There are 2 volumes, so it's the second one. And this lady was just talking about how when she was like around, I don't know, she was like 12 or 13. She's like, her dad had left them. So they were her and like 2 girls. They were her and her sister and their mom. They lived in this home. And like they were just living, their dad left them, I think, when they were like 6. When she's 12 or 13, her mom gets a new boyfriend. And one day the guy moves in and she comes home from school to find her mom has packed their bags and they're outside the door. And she was just like, oh, wait, what do you mean? And then the mom is just like, yeah, I'm sorry. My new husband has said that you guys can't stay here anymore. So you're going to need to go and fend for yourselves. Goodbye. Yep. True story of something that happened to this person. And apparently this happens that people remember another time we read a dilemma of someone who it's like actually they got a man and they couldn't tell the man that they have a kid, so now it's like their sister is the one who lives with the kid. Yerp to doodles. So that's and horrible. It's traumatic. And in the end of this story, she ends up forgiving her mom and even going back later and what.
Let me tell you, this book I'm reading, it's all about love, says that it feels like the worse your parents neglected you or didn't give you love consistent to what love truly is, the more you want it. So there's some part of you that your healing is kind of dependent on finally getting that love. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
Instead of being like, this is a terrible human being who did this to you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but apparently this whole, like, choosing your new husband over your kids, this is apparently a done thing.
Apparently. Yeah, crazy. Somebody was just let go of.
Yeah, I can't even fathom that because my mom has been so strict. In fact, one of the reasons why my mom wanted to wait until we were older to date, because she's like, if anyone did anything to you, you had the confidence to be able to come and tell me, versus when you're kids, it's like you're easier to manipulate, as we just said.
It's easy.
So it's
you can
like
tell someone.
You can just tell someone like, oh, you know.
But here's another another spanner in the works. Let me throw a spanner in the works.
Oh, here we go.
The reality is that sometimes it might not be that your partner doesn't like your kids or your kids don't like your partner. It could be that you are just coming from 2 completely different cultural backdrops, or just like the way you guys are raised. So in Kamuste, the man and his daughters are like from a more affluent family, whereas the woman and her son are from East Lando, literally East Lando. It's like, and they reference that a lot in the episode. And like the guy is speaking Sheng and stuff, like literally no one in the house can understand what he's saying, what the son is saying. This AJ, he's hilarious. He calls this new dad Jonte, which I'm just like, is that a word for dad?
I think it's like,
is that a word for dad, Paul?
Jonte.
What is it?
But it's like adding
because
something.
His name is John.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, even I got that.
Oh, sorry. Wait, I thought it meant dad.
I know like John, but then there's something else he's adding to it. See, I knew.
Wow. Okay. So well done. Well done, lad. Anyway, yeah. So they're clearly their lives are so different. So even when the son comes to this new house, he's just like, oh my God, guy, huku ni ubabini, sa tumeomoka. It's just like, it's very different. Clearly their lives are very different.
Yeah.
How then, at what point do you say that, okay, your life or my family's life and your family's life are too different to come together? Or does love conquer all eventually? Like, is it just like, as long as we love each other, it can work out?
No way. I don't think so. I feel like, no.
No?
What?
Blended,
when
not
children
broken.
When children are involved.
Yeah, but
no, you guys have to be more intentional than Sijui love.
So that means that if I'm from not well to do, I must be in a blended
no,
family that not
what
well
I'm
to do.
saying is that it's like it takes a lot more patience
Effort.
and a lot more effort and a lot more like allowing the differences to just be that differences as opposed to reason for conflict, you know, because he's different, he's speaking Sheng or whatever, you guys are here rolling your eyes, I don't know what you're speaking.
Half the time I was like, what is this guy saying?
First of all, I can't tell you what he said. I know there was a petition to sign. It's like I was getting a lot of context. But
as I was watching it, I was like, I wonder if you guys are being able to understand this one.
Words.
I too.
Words. No. Like, guys, wow.
It was a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it will take a lot more intention. And also, like, as we're saying, not making those differences be issues. Another thing, Brenda's church wear.
Oh, yes.
So first of all, as Malaika asked, you guys were lying. You didn't meet in church.
This is her church dress. Her church dress is here.
Yeah, and she's just like, God is looking at the heart. You guys still say that.
But isn't he?
Why are we forcing that? But why are we fighting for our right to have
dress
our
badly?
Why are we fighting for that? And I'm not here to judge anyone for doing it. But for me, it makes no sense. Why do I want to? At work, I know how to dress. When it's like, listen to this, when there's a theme, if someone says black and gold, since you want a black and gold.
We know.
But church, that's where you draw the line.
But you see also, it's different churches, different strokes, different folks, different strokes.
But you know what you can see in church. You know, the problem with church is that it's never written, this is a rule.
But
it's like
an
unsaid rule.
That's it.
For me, I don't know what we are fighting about.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
Sue can just put it on top.
Eventually now she was wearing a dira, which I was just like,
But that dira was cute.
It was actually really nice.
I was
it was very fitted also. It wasn't like actually the ugliest. Yeah. So now you need to go and watch the episode, guys. This is now episode 2. So that's episode 2 now.
Yeah,
this is episode 2.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I mean, I felt like I could see there were differences there. Like, and also it's like, why don't you know this? That this is how she dresses for church.
Yeah. Also, why does he not know that she didn't know how to cook? It just feels like, have you guys been dating 2 minutes? You know what I mean?
It's giving just 2 minutes. And this happens, by the way, especially like with men. It's like, just like how they, like men move on faster. It's like, they are not dealing, they just want to get
it's just
on. Like, one. You know, move on fast. So that because of that, now if he wants you to move in, now what?
That's the thing. But one thing I realized in this is that there are some things you can't know until now when you guys are married and you're now living together. There was an argument they had about like eating breakfast together as a family at the table, which is like, I mean, unless we have been together as a family, what context would we have had for us to start having a conversation about like, you as your family, do you sit at the table and eat? No, I don't know, us, we don't sit at the family and eat. Like some things will obviously be like tension at that time when they happen, but I mean, you're just going to have to deal with them when they come. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like they're still figure outable. You just have to anticipate what happens when these things, when there's a clash of values.
Were there anything like that when you guys blended? I don't want to say maybe clash of values, but like maybe a conflict point that you would not have foreseen had you not
said living together. Yeah. Okay, so one thing, which I don't know if this one is values or just more of like, a parenting value, is that when I met Zach, I still used to bathe Ethan because for me, I mean, this was my first child. I didn't know at what age parents now stop bathing their kids. So I remember it was like, now the year we got married was at 2016. And then now I remember the first night he came off work and then he's just like, I was just like, oh, okay, let's go shower. So he's like, oh, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to bathe him. Duh. He's like, he's 6. What do you mean you're bathing him? That's a grown boy. Like, you can't be the one who's like washing him. And I was like, Kwani, what's wrong? He's my son and I'm just like washing him. He was like, no, absolutely not.
That he is.
And on that day,
got him.
Exactly. So on that day, he went with Ethan to the shower and showed him how he should shower himself and what. And like, that was that. But you see, for me, I just never actually thought about that. It was just like, you know?
But now
and for
6
him,
sounds
just like
old.
Right now 6 sounds old, obviously. Right now I'm just like, how was I washing a boy at 6? But then I didn't think about that because also at that time it was just like me and Ethan. So there's no like, whose rules are you following or whose standard are you setting? It's just my own, And if you want me to bathe you, I'll bathe you. Why not? You know, kind of thing. But I don't think we had anything which was like necessarily like a clash of values. Also because he was coming from being a single man, not like he had a family and they had a chanad. And me, I had never lived with a man also. So it was just kind of like single me, just that
New.
single me with a kid, and single you, and then together.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Ours, as I'm saying, is like it's less conflict because it's like we were grown, so we were really just looking to adjust around, you know, my mom's relationship.
Yeah.
But when he did come, one thing which I did realize at the time is that I feel like my mom wasn't really saying it out loud, but she did want it to work out. My mom is like I am the prize girl. That's just how she operates. I am the prize.
Hello.
And so I know that that's inherently true, but I could see that she wanted it to work out in a way that sometimes it used to seem like she's far more considerate about what's going on with Tim, or like us being more flexible when it comes to Tim versus the other way around, which we understood. But eventually,
Him to you. As in him to you guys being
us
flexible.
being more flexible to him,
Okay.
because it's like she needs us to accept him. That's a deal
'Cause she'll
breaker
be
with my mom.
heartbroken
Exactly.
yeah.
So she was really hell-bent on us being like accepting and patient and all of that. But eventually it wasn't sustainable. Eventually it needed to be, Tim is a person, we are people, and we can't always be like trying to be like flexible about anything, but
amenable
it's
to
more like
everything, yeah.
maybe sometimes we don't want to go, we don't want to go, or we don't want to
that's
do
fine,
this,
yeah.
or we would like to say this one out, or, you know, it's like it became more like you're feeling the tension of what happens if we don't get on, whereas it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, and then eventually
Because that wouldn't necessarily mean that now the relationship is in jeopardy. It's just that Lydia and I didn't want to go this time.
yeah, I know, but in the beginning I could see that everything that felt like things weren't so perfectly gelling felt like, oh no, what if, yeah. I could tell. I think it was just like anxiety of a new relationship, but now you have kids.
I get that.
Yeah.
And I recognize sometimes, especially when women DM me about their blended family stories, how sometimes even me sharing my story can feel to someone that their story is not coming out as perfect as they would want it to be. Because I feel like sometimes like when I share, it seems almost like my story with Zach has been too easy in how we blended. It's just like, oh, it's just like perfectly. They met. He started calling him dad. We are perfectly co-parenting with my baby daddy. His family, you know, likes my family, and like sometimes we meet. It's just like, but sometimes you can be so eager for it to work out that you're not willing to work through what magic your own story could be. Because honestly, there are so many different ways it can play out.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes you're not best friends with your baby daddy, but you still co-parent. Maybe sometimes it's that, I don't know, your kid takes 1-2 years for them to start calling your partner dad. It doesn't have to be that if it's not in the first 6 months, the story is done, you know, kind of thing. I feel like people in blended families need to really be open to the fact that you have to just let your story evolve the way it's going to evolve, because people are all so different, and human beings are complex. Human beings are
Children
so
alike.
complex. Children
Children
I'm telling
alike.
You just have to let it play out how it's gonna play out.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to leave to the wind. But the truth is, like, some things like affection and intimacy, these things are built and they grow slowly but surely.
Exactly.
How we are now with Tim is not how we were in the beginning at all. It's taken like a lot of time and whatever. There's a trip we took. There's a trip we took as a family from Bristol to Glasgow when I was just there in September, and we had like the most chaotic journey.
Bloody hell.
The most chaotic journey, and we had a family meeting after.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we had a family meeting after. It was uncomfortable for sure, because, you know, we were kind of discussing like, you know, what went wrong or what wasn't great about it, and, you know, and there were, you know, we had to say, this is why this happened from my point of view, from this. And, you know, always, all the time in a blended family, it's like the freedom I have to be like, yes, it was you stupid donkey. Or like, no, mom, you know, it's definitely different than how I would say it to Tim, because it's just something that's a bit different. So it was definitely awkward, but we needed to have it. And because my mom is a counselor, like all of us, like what me and my sister are going to therapy, they've gone to therapy. Yeah, so it was navigated well, but it was still like,
tough. This is the thing. And those
travel together as a family at your own risk.
That is when you will truly see. But I feel like I like what you've just said about how like there's that thing of just like, this is not your dad. Do you know what I mean?
You feel like you feel like they won't understand when you're completely like, if I say something crazy like, oh, shut up, like Aggie will get it, but it's like, whoa, like how would that land?
That's the thing. Yeah, I see that as well with Ethan and Zach. It's just like there's a comfort there, a comfort of like, I love you and what, because they've been together now like 7 years that he's been in his life, but still there's that idea of like, it's just like
because maybe even probably you don't know how you reflect that to Zach. Let's say if he's like disciplining him,
right.
you are not letting it be like
the same as
as the girls.
There's something. Oh, girl,
you sure he doesn't see those eyes?
He does.
Well, he does, right?
It's just like, I know you're not about to
not my
child,
son,
not
my son. You know, there's just something you put, and I think it's also from your perspective being like careful, like there has to be like some way that you are the one who's protecting. There's just something,
but at the same time you need to be careful. I feel like people need to be careful to not then overstep, because it's like, if you want your partner then to help you parent and to be a full parent, you also have to give them the space to be able to do it, and the space to make mistakes sometimes, the space to be able to be like, okay, I don't know how to handle this, because otherwise then they'll just be like, okay, fine, since you're the one who can parent, then you just parent by yourself.
I know, which makes
that's an issue.
It not blended. Makes it a bit more harder for everything to play out a bit easier.
Exactly.
Yeah, and do you know what? To be honest, I feel like it's okay to acknowledge that even if they're like how you guys have your own children with Zach, and then there's also Ethan. It's okay to acknowledge that it might be different, but it doesn't mean it's different bad.
That's the
like
thing.
People always feel like someone had like, oh, he needs to love my son the same way as his own children. He probably does. No, he can probably love them that way, but like, does that mean that everything is expressed the same way? Probably not, because there's a different level of ownership that's going to come into it, and I think acknowledging that and being aware of it is easier than us pretending that it's not there.
Let's not pretend, especially if you're in a co-parenting situation where it's like Ethan sometimes will just say things, just like, oh, my other dad did this, my other dad this, because kids, they're not like actively thinking about like how awkward does that make it in this situation. Oh, my other dad said that. No. It's just like, okay, it's like you have to respond to him and like be present in there. But he's not thinking about like, how does this dad feel as you say that, kind of thing. But it's like, you just have to acknowledge it and just like because the ultimate is that you want the children to feel comfortable. The ultimate is not for you and your man to just be able to have an easy, peaceful life. The reality is that when you already made the decisions of the previous partners and the previous pregnancies, now you have other people to think of. This is the reality. You have other people to think of. So now it's like, okay, is my child comfortable? That needs to be the number one. Everything else is secondary.
And actually, that's exactly what I was saying. It's the adults to adjust to the kids, because they're the ones who are not able to control the situation. You guys control the decisions to have children to the best of your ability, as long as you have sex unprotected or whatever else, whatever, we are here. The kids were chosen. You got the choice to be a parent was on you. However, them being in this situation isn't theirs. So being able to be like more observant and patient and kind about the kids, I think is the best way possible. Absolutely. And I know for sure, every time I look back, I am so grateful for my mom for being like, we were at the front of her decision making. Our welfare, our state of mind, our health, our wellness was always at the core of the decisions that she's made. And I tell you, you can't buy that, because I know there's a lot of differences in other dynamics where it's just like, once your mom gets married, maybe that's it for you guys, or maybe they married when they were a lot younger, and you could still feel like you're not a priority. So yeah,
and you can definitely tell when you're a priority. If everything you're saying, I mean, like in Come You Stay, there's like every time AJ says something, and then the mom is just like, wait, wacha kunichomea. Do you hear her saying that?
Way they talk like
friends. They're siblings. Yeah, I'm just like, ma'am,
that is so problematic.
Excuse me, ma'am. What do you mean acha kunichomea? What is please? What are we trying to communicate to the kids here? Jeez. Yeah. So that's definitely problematic. Another thing, I think it's the last thing that I noticed, especially in episode 2, is when what's his name? John's mother comes into the picture, and she's obviously very hostile towards Brenda, very hostile towards Brenda and her son.
Very hostile to Kiambu women. What did we do?
Kiambu women in general.
I think after those Kiambu women who they put stiwa in your food. I was like, we were just chilling.
I wonder if they would allow us to put like snippets of like the episode in here as we speak. Do you think so?
Oh, we can ask.
That would be really interesting. So
really
you can be able to see, people can be able to see, and I think it
what
will
we're
lead
saying.
more people to go and
Yeah.
actually watch it. But yeah, so there's that part where she's talking about like now just like basically who the hell is this woman and why is she here living with you? Which it's just like
And John, the
flabbergasting.
big black man, was like,
big black
Mom,
bearded
Aki,
man.
Mom.
Yeah, that was the only unsexy part of him in the whole show.
For
But
sure.
the rest of the time he was alright.
Yeah,
Don't
he
speak
was
like
calm.
that about that man. You know.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Come
All
on.
officially my man, but he needs some hair on his head. Me bald. I don't
No,
know.
let me tell you guys, bald and beard, that is the spec.
Beard and a bit of hair. Beard and a bit of hair.
I know it's fine, but me, I don't know what it is.
So what are you rubbing like at night as when you're going to bed? Oh,
Lick him. First of all, what are you rubbing anyway?
I don't know.
What are
So
you?
know how
What are
it's
you even doing
like
up
when
there?
when he's what am I doing up there?
What are you doing up there, babe?
See, like you know how
Focus.
when your
Eye on the prize.
when your man is like driving and you wanna like tell him everything is calm, you just have to rub his hair here at the back
So
like
rubbing
this.
like this, rub this. This is it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, bald and a big bush beard.
Yeah.
Come, daddy, now.
Come on, please come break
Ooh,
me. Break me.
break me.
Okay,
I know we're
getting
blended.
sidetracked. We're getting sidetracked.
I know we're blended.
We are blended.
But
But
break
break
me.
me. All right, I can be broken for you, daddy.
Oh, God.
Anyway, he's so handsome. But his mom, out of control. First of all, the best actress in this thing.
And the way she storms in there, she didn't even come, oh, let me have a word. She stormed in there and started cussing everyone out. What is this? And you know, when she found AJ and Brenda sat down and they were talking, and then and then she was just like, oh, I'm so surprised. She said in Swahili, I can't remember. Actually, you're here focusing on the food of the body instead of going to judge on
food of the soul. I was like, ma'am.
Wow.
Chairperson of Ladies Guild.
Yeah.
My God. Anyway, that was a really dramatized, but I do know obviously that there are many situations where someone's mom, you know, because your mom is not in your relationship, she might not understand why did it not work with the other person.
Yeah.
Who is this new person? How did you guys get together? And that can be like a difficult transition. So with me and Zach, I feel like my family has always been extremely welcoming to him, but of course he wasn't coming with a kid. His family has also been really, really welcoming. However, I there are several times that his mom has kind of like said something to the effect of just like she doesn't understand why I then need since I have Zach, why do I have to co-parent with the other guy? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like when I see where she's coming from, it's just like from their generation to just kind of like once a guy has left, he's gone. It's you who's staying here taking care of the kids kind of thing. And so that has been like a journey of like explaining co-parenting, or sometimes like when and till this day it's like sometimes when we go visit and maybe Ethan has gone to his dad's house explaining why he's not here and her not understanding like why couldn't he just come, because you know this one time it's just like no, he can't just come because there's a schedule and there's a PRA and there's lawyers and there's all these different things. But one thing I'm really grateful for is just that it's been both our families have been really accepting of each other, and I'm so happy about that. Everything else has just been like conversation and trying to help her understand our point of view and whatnot, and just like the way we've chosen to live, you know, kind of thing. So and also just accepting she's from a different generation.
She just is.
That's the thing. I don't want to expect more of her than what she's able to give. It's just like, but you love us, thanks. That's been nice.
Yeah. I don't know anyone. I don't think I know people who are in a blended family like the way that you are. And also it's like you are one of the first friends who I had who has a child.
Yeah.
Like at all, like period.
Yeah.
So then like I've seen firsthand how I've seen the realities of the difficulties, especially the way you talk about like sometimes when Ethan is away and things like that. But I've also seen such a genuine willingness to make this as peaceful, as blended as possible in your dynamic from everyone's account. I feel like that actually is the key to making something blended work. Everybody, egos at the door.
You all need to just
egos at the door, because if you're making decisions based on your ego, it's like, yeah, why can't he come? See, he needs, now you're beefing.
It. Yeah.
Now you're beefing for no reason.
Imagine.
Or it's like, or you decide that he shouldn't be in the picture. Now we're in court for, you know, it's like egos out of the door. What's best for the child? And I think you guys do that. Like I tell you this now, I've told you this before.
You have told me, yeah.
Really, really impressed with how hard you work. And I guess because I can relate more to being Ethan in the perspective of like adults making decisions over your life. Your parents are not together. The way you guys work so hard to make it comfortable for him. Oh,
Ni God.
I'll tell you. Ni Mungu too.
Ni Mungu too. No, but another thing I saw when I was at on Claire's podcast is that sometimes you could be really willing to make it work, but your partner is just not.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, and you see, that's the thing.
Your
like
partner
also,
now that your
the
ex
former,
partner.
yeah, your ex-partner. The current partner, I'm hoping that you have chosen
There's
them
no
based on the
choice.
fact
Yeah.
that you are willing to do this. And if I see a single ounce of like you're
This,
trying to say
a
that my
red
child
dot.
is an inconvenience, you're out. Actually, you're out faster than you even saw me in the first place. You need to be able to. You need to, but you can't feel for somebody. You can't make your ex-partner now not be a malicious person. You can't make him not want to fight you in court. You can't make him, it's like you just can't. And now the unfortunate thing is that you already had the sex and you already had the kid, and now we are where we are.
Yeah,
So now what to do? So I feel like it's more, for my situation, I feel like it's more just that God has really been good to us, and also more that we both just really love our son so much that we both don't want to do anything to jeopardize his future. And my hope is that everyone who has a child with anyone would put enough thought into who that person is, so that even if things don't work out, at least you know that it's someone who's not going to come and fight you tooth and nail, try to take you everything that you have. Like, I mean, who wants that?
Yeah, when we were on Claire's podcast, the Blended Family podcast, we were talking about from the perspective of like now after the divorce. And Claire, because she has 2 daughters from a previous relationship, she was really keen on like hearing like how I dealt with like what could have been done better for us, because now she's there.
She's now the
she's
mom.
Now
she's
there.
your mom.
She's now my mom, and I'm the one who's articulating what I had needed and things like that. Because actually I saw a post that says trauma isn't just about what happened to you, it's what didn't. It's the protection you weren't given, it's the care that you weren't afforded, those kind of things. And I feel like we got no support navigating the divorce, but my mom didn't get support either. My dad didn't get, like, nobody got support. But I'm saying as a child, like what you could have wanted, and that's the first thing that you want to deal with before we even come to blended. It's like here, the rupture that happened when you separated from the other person, has that been dealt with? Because it's automatically going to pour into it. The same way, if you and the father of your son was still in scuffles of the past,
that would
it would have been affected.
Absolutely.
It would have been affecting this one. So yeah, that's a huge one.
That's a massive one
to be aware of.
I guess so. So maybe now to go back to that question of like, what would I have done differently? Maybe I would have had Ethan get also some professional, like speak to somebody professionally, probably something like that. Although no, I didn't even. Have I thought about therapy until I met Lydia? I had never.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just like you don't have the tools yourself.
You yourself don't have the tools, but it's like if you did, you'd have done that. But I feel like now in this age, there are actually child and teen psychologists, people who can be able to like speak to your child in a language that they understand and in a way that they understand, so that, and then also as a parent, you just kind of need to see and listen out for cues. Like, are they acting in a way that they are not usually acting?
What's going on in school? That's the first one.
Exactly. Are they? You mentioned before about like your child just crying. Maybe they don't even know why they are crying, but they're just crying endlessly, or they're just sad, or they started peeing the bed. Because I've seen situations where like children have physical reactions like that. Like they had
my sister peed the bed for quite long after my parents separated because of the instability. Exactly. I started being like really naughty in school when I was like a really good student. You start expressing your feelings other ways because you don't know how, you don't have the language, you don't know what to say. And also, even if you have something to say, who's listening?
Fucking hell.
Who's listening? They're not paying attention.
You think being an adult is hard?
What about being
a child is really
imagine the
hard.
emotions we have now without the words to.
And I can come and tell you, this is how I'm feeling. I'm really feeling overwhelmed. I need X and Y and Z. But children can't do that. They don't know what they're feeling. They don't know how to express it. They don't know how to say what they need.
Yeah.
My God,
what's your favorite
really
thing about being in a blended family?
Seeing my child being loved by so many people.
Oh,
I feel like that makes me so happy. Seeing the fact that he is always so happy about I have 2 dads, or the fact that he's just like, oh, for my birthday, I'm going to ask for this from this family and this from this family, or that he had a party here, then he has another party there. I love that he gets to experience the world in a different lens. I feel like that's both a good thing. It makes it more complex, obviously, for him, but I feel like it can be a really positive thing. Not that many people get to see what marriage looks like in 2 homes, or what family values. You get to choose. This is when you grow up, you can see this is how in this home mom and dad were. This is how mom and dad were here. This is how he has 2 brothers there. He has 2 sisters here. So that's perfect. You get to have brothers, right? Exactly, and you get to have sisters. You get to just experience these different things. I feel like it just automatically will open his mind up to so much more of what the world could be, as opposed to us who is just like, you grew up with this one alcoholic dad. You mean there are other kinds of dads?
Yeah. get your point.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean, right?
it's true.
Yeah, I think I really, really love that. It's one of the things that at the beginning is what you're most scared about, the fact that, oh my God, their life will be different. But as they grow and as you keep being more blended, you're like, wow, their life is gonna be different.
Yeah, and it's
I
like
love
in a richer way.
in a rich way,
Yeah.
exactly. You?
By the way, I forgot to say that Tim has 3 children from his previous marriage, 2 older daughters. They're a bit older than me, like just immediately older than me, and then his son is just younger than me. Aggie remains the last born. So
Insert clapping sound here.
for me, the most beautiful thing about being in a blended family is that being able to love somebody who was a stranger and love them like family feels, it feels like I'm capable of that. It's like love can break these barriers of like, before I didn't know you, like you were just like a random man walking around, and now you light up my mom's life. You love her so much. You've enriched and changed her life for the better. You are a wonderful stepdad. I get to have the love of like, Tim is like a provider dad. It's like he would just hear me talking about like, oh yeah, oh my God, now like I really need like like a tripod or something like that. I just say that next day, like, so being able to see that up close and to be fathered in that way has been
different from
has
the
been
previous
something.
dad.
The way I would say actually is blended. The most beautiful thing about blended family is that they are a wonderful expression of second chances.
I was just, wow, yeah. I was thinking of that
Right?
exact, just
It's
like
like
second chances.
what happened then or whatever, like you have an opportunity to create a different family. Maybe the experience you had with a dad then, you get a different one. And I know there's not all blended families that work out well, but especially in this day and age, it's like it's a new opportunity
for you to do something new, for you to have something
God
new.
is God of second chances.
Yeah. I love that. He is a God of second and third chances and fourth chances.
Yeah.
Actually, if anything, blended families are just that reminder that you can find love again.
You can
that
try
you can
again.
try again. And it might not look, it definitely will not look the same as it looked the first time, because the first time maybe you didn't have kids. The first time maybe you hadn't gone through the trauma of being in a toxic marriage for 7 years or whatever. It will look different, but it could look better.
And also,
it could be really beautiful.
Different has to be something that we
It could
open
be
up to be
That's it.
possibly better.
Yes.
Different, possibly better. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I feel like the show is really interesting, and I am so looking forward to continuing the episodes.
Yeah.
And just seeing how, I guess from episode 1 to episode 2, you could see there's a bit of growth in terms of like how we are togethernessing.
Yeah.
So I am certain that probably by the end of even this season 1,
There'll be hope.
Tutakuwa mahali.
They hope, yeah.
We'll be
You can
somewhere.
stream, by the way, on your phone, which is how I've been watching
Exactly,
it.
yeah, on DStv stream. By the way, DStv has an offer where if you upgrade your package, let's say you're on DStv Access, you upgrade your package to DStv Family, they will bump you up to DStv Compact, which is fantastic, and then onwards and upwards. So that's just like if you're at Family and then you go up to Compact, they can bump you up to Compact Plus, etc. So you should definitely check them out and watch this show. Just trust us. Because
stay.
Have we ever misled you guys? We haven't. I love that song. Come stay.
That's how we knew it was come stay.
Exactly.
Not
Well,
come
you're
you
saying
stay.
come you stay.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to continuing to watch it. I'm actually gonna get, maybe Zach would want to watch it, and just to see, you know, what other people's blended family situations
Exactly.
are like.
And the more by the way, something I find amazing and enriching about the world we live in now, it's like you can't say this is how a family looks like. Says who?
Yeah.
No, that's how your family looks like. But there are so many other families now, and also it gives people different things to look out for, to look up to. You want to be like, you want this kind of family. There it is. We have more examples, more representation of different kinds of family instead of before. If you didn't have mom, dad, boy, girl, 2 girls.
God forbid go.
Yuck. Yuck.
Not 2 girls.
Not 2 girls.
At least 2 boys. But
2 girls.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
I
a
love
dog or
that.
something like that. Yeah, representation definitely matters. I cannot remember growing up and seeing anything about blended families.
There wasn't.
Ever.
There wasn't.
I literally cannot.
Will Smith
think
was the
about
first
it.
person who was just like, oh yeah.
Wow, yeah.
They were
that
like the
makes
first ones,
sense.
like way back
Yeah.
in the 90s.
And I feel like
2000s.
in the West, I feel like it's something that happens just because there's so many marriages and divorces, marriages and divorces. So it's just like you see
But there was
people-
very little representation
That's the
still,
thing,
even
actually,
on TV.
even on movies and that kind of thing. I feel like for us to be at a place where even in like an ordinary Kenyan African society, we can have a show about being in a blended family. I feel like that's a huge step
And you know
forward.
what? It feels like the TV is expressing what's currently happening. It doesn't feel abnormal. I did look at that and be like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
They live
Wait,
like
so-
this.
So you mean
no?
It just feels like
Or did you tell
us? These people, these in-betweeners who every day, their dilemmas. Have you read their dilemmas?
I'm sure they thought it was fine.
Wako sawa. Yeah, anyway, go check it out, guys. Can we stay on Maisha Magic, channel 163? Anything else you want to add?
No, I think being part of a blended family is an absolute blessing.
It's beautiful.
Because it gets you, as we said, it gives you a chance to have something different the second time round.
Absolutely. I am open, guys, to us doing another episode on blended families if you guys have questions, because I just foresee that people will have a ton of blended family questions. So if you have any questions about being in a blended family, about our own experiences, about anything that's mentioned on the show, or anything just to do with being in a blended family, maybe your own struggles or your own dilemmas, please leave them in the comments. Or if they are personal, you can always DM us on Instagram, TMI Podcast KE. Well, don't DM our personal ones about this, so that we can have them in one place and we can be able to get back to you. And we'll see if they're enough of a number, we might do an episode about it. If not, we'll just answer them probably on directly to you or
live
or something like that. Exactly. Or maybe even on stories. So reach out to us. We'd love to hear your blended family stories. How has it been like for you? What has worked for you? Any challenges, any opportunities that we could have? Because me, I'm always open to learning what are other people doing that is working for them,
It's
kind
true.
of thing.
And other resources that are there, like we talked about, like child therapists and psychologists. Like if you have any of those kind of resources to help people navigate blending, please put them down in the comments below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, you can go on YouTube to see
exactly
the comments.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you.
Bye.